Good Thursday morning to you. For Telesur, I'm Reagan Devines in Caracas, Venezuela. Thank you so much for being here with us on From the South. The International Court of Justice in The Hague will be ruling in the next hour or so whether or not it will hear Bolivia's claim to sea access through Chile. The issue has revived an age-old dispute between both nations. Bolivia brought its claim against Chile to the ICJ in 2013. They based their claim on almost a century's worth of diplomatic and historical documents in which Santiago committed to resolve the issue of Bolivia's access to the sea. Chile stripped Bolivia of its access to the sea in the War of the Pacific between 1879 and 1883. President Evo Morales has expressed his optimism on various occasions and said it will benefit other countries as well.
This is my first legal case taken to The Hague, but I can assure that if this goes well for us, it will go even better with the Falklands being given to Argentina.
Colombia's President Juan Manuel Santos and the FARC rebel leader Rodrigo Londoño shook hands at an historic meeting in Havana, Cuba, pledging to reach a final peace agreement within 6 months. This after signing an agreement for truth and justice for the victims of the conflict. They've set March 23, 2016 as the deadline for the deal to be signed. This would put an end to Latin America's longest war. The Civil War began in 1964, and since then, over 220,000 people have been killed and millions displaced, including about 5.6 million to Venezuela.
This afternoon, I met with the Supreme Commander of the FARC, and we have agreed on a date for a final accord to end our armed conflict. It will be March 23, 2016. I repeat, March 23, 2016 will be the latest day. In exactly 6 months, we will give a definitive and ultimate goodbye to the longest war in Colombia. Not just Colombia, but all of the Americas. And we agreed that the FARC will start to drop their weapons at no later than 60 days after signing a final agreement.
And in Mexico, the struggle for justice by the Ayotzinapa families continues. The parents of the 43 students abducted a year ago have launched a 43-day hunger strike. They want justice and credible answers into the fate of their loved ones. The parents and supporters have set up a protest camp in Zocalo in front of the presidential palace. The hunger strike comes after officials announced that they may have identified a possible match for a second victim in the abduction and apparent massacre of the 43 students, and after serious flaws in the investigation have been exposed.
Today, definitely the parents of the families have decided together to live to the consequences. We're available for whatever happens, for the return of our guys to our homes, to our school. This is why we're here, present. And we want to say to the Mexican President Enrique Peña Nieto from today, the biggest commitment he has is to the parents of the families.
Still in Mexico, where in the western state of Colima, the fire volcano has erupted again. It spewed ash and smoke into the air. 2 explosions were also reported. The volcano has been exhibiting activity since July 9th this year. Over the past 2 months, nearby villages have been blanketed with thick coats of ash, prompting evacuations. Mexico has a total of 3,000 volcanoes. 14 of them are considered active. In Cuba, Wi-Fi hotspots have become a sensation in a country that has the world's lowest internet penetration. But this is coming to an end as the government has promised more hotspots soon. So far, there are 35 of them nationwide. Cuba is connected by only one undersea fiber optic cable originating out of Venezuela. Residents are now pouring into plazas to use the new Wi-Fi service that is adorned with government signs that read, "Long live Free Cuba."
The internet is opening up the doors to another universe, to communication, which is so important and is the basis of all relationships, both domestically and internationally. Thank you very much to this government for that.
Now to Peru, where the country's largest social conflict of 2015 is starting again. Farmers are completely against a mining project by a Mexican company known as Grupo Mexico, that has pending investigations in various countries due to their illegal way of operating. Our correspondent Ryan Mora is there and he has the story.
Thousands of farm workers have come out to protest once again in the valley of Tambo, southern Peru, declaring a new general strike against the mining project called Tia Maria. Protesters believe the project will contaminate their fertile valley. The actions coincide with a conference of international mining companies taking place in the area.
I would like to tell all the business people from Peru and outside Peru who are involved in mining that here in our country they must respect international laws. Mines must not be placed by river basins, in the middle of rivers, or near a settlement like they want to do with the case of Tia Maria. They want to put it near the population and near the Tambo River.
Some analysts believe that the positions of the two sides of the conflict make finding a solution impossible. On the one side, the government is siding with the company behind the project, Grupo Mexico, and they're not offering concrete plans to improve the water needs of the 25,000 farmers in the area. Nor are they giving guarantees to prevent massive pollution. On the other side, the local population is set on not allowing the mining company to operate in any manner.
The company believes that only with a much more serious communication strategy can it resolve the conflict with the residents and the irrigation committee. And on the other side, the population is simply saying no to any discussion of whether the project goes forward.
Since 2011, the social conflicts over the Tia Maria mining project have claimed 9 lives. With both sides fixed on their decision, no agreement is likely to be reached and there is a high probability that violent confrontations will continue. Rael Mora, Telesur, Peru.
And now a brief look at the world's news.
Catalonia's pro-Session coalition is gearing up for a victory in the Spanish region's election this Sunday. An electoral win is expected to trigger an 18-month roadmap to independence. Pollsters predict that the two main Catalan parties, supporting the split from Spain, will win 41% of the vote, or between 63 to 67 seats in the parliament. This, according to President Artur Mas, would not be sufficient to launch a plan for secession. I hope the yes wins, especially because I think that will give us enough power to take the first step towards building a fairer state and the resources to build a more social-oriented country. At least 310 pilgrims were killed in a stampede at Mina, outside the Muslim holy city of Mecca. At least 450 other persons were injured in the crash. Saudi officials said over 2 million people are performing the annual Hajj pilgrimage. The tragedy took place in the camp city of Mina, where 160,000 tents were set up to house the millions of pilgrims. 2 weeks ago, a crane collapsed in Mecca, killing 110 people. The incidents have not deterred people from their pilgrimage. I wish from Allah the Merciful that He accepts our prayers and prayers of all the Muslims on the Mount Arafat. This is a holy spot that has been set by Allah amongst most of the holy places. The Pope Francis canonized Junipero Serra, an 18th century Spanish Franciscan friar. There is some controversy with his canonization. Some Native American groups in California claim that Serra was brutal, oppressive, and forcibly evangelized Native people. Junipero Serra built a string of missionary churches along the Pacific coast. His aim was to spread faith among the Native Americans, but tribal leaders today said that he had beat and imprisoned local people, suppressed their culture, and facilitated spread of diseases. Fact is, before he arrived to California, there was an estimated 330,000 natives there. Years after his arrival, less than 25,000 were left. The Pope, however, praised Serra.
We now head to Washington. Our correspondent there, Bianca Perez, has been following Pope Francis's visit to the United States, where he not only paid tribute to the Latin American community, but also used strong words when speaking of climate change.
We traveled all the way from the Philippines to see the Pope!
They were desperate to catch a closer look at the Pope. From early morning, more than 30,000 citizens lined the streets surrounding the National Mall. After passing very strict security measures, some of them waited over 6 hours to see the Pope Mobile parade down Constitution Avenue.
I think many people are here to receive the Pope's blessing and to get peace from him, which is what we all need.
Pope Francis was greeted at the White House by the Obama family, along with 11,000 guests who were able to attend the ceremony. During his speech, the pontiff was very forthcoming about climate change and the urgency with which this subject should be addressed.
The Pope has spoken very eloquently on issues that matter to all of us, for example, climate change. And this week, actually, he'll be speaking at the UN General Assembly in New York, urging world leaders to address some of the most pressing problems, ending hunger and poverty around the world, and at the same time taking care of the planet.
People were not only keen to see the Pope, many are also anxious to know what will come out of the closed-door meeting he held with President Obama in his address to Congress on Thursday.
I want to hear what he says to Congress, what he says to Obama, what he says even to me, like his encyclical, he's here for the family. So I just want to absorb everything and just take it into my life.
The pontiff traveled down 4 main avenues in Washington, D.C., making thousands of people's dreams a reality by allowing them to see him even if just for a few seconds. Those present felt that the long wait was worthwhile.
Was amazing. I mean, the people here were so nice. They were looking out for each other and making sure everybody was okay. And I think it was just the excitement of the hope and knowing that, you know, that he had a good message and he actually does things with his message.
Later in the day, Pope Francis held a Mass in St. Matthew's Cathedral, where 600 bishops from around the nation were present. During this Mass, His Holiness asked for a strengthening of the Church and its representatives. Bianca Perez, Telesur, Washington, D.C.
And on the lighter side of news, we have an amazing story for you. A 105-year-old man has broken his own record as the oldest competitive sprinter at the Kyoto Masters Athletics Autumn Competition in Japan. His name is Hidekichi Miyazaki, hard name there. He was 8 when World War I ended and 34 when the Second World War came to an end. He didn't start running until he was well into his 90s. Miyazaki ran the 100 meters race in 42 seconds.
The doctors are all surprised. It's all about being in good health.
Yes, I have got to be like that when I get to 90. For more on these and other stories, please visit our website, telesurtv.net/English. For Telesur English, I'm Regan Devines. We'll have another news update for you in just a few hours.